cannot afford to miss a single moment of the next hour. Get ready to have your ideas about sexuality, love, and relationships blown wide open. It's time to get educated, entertained, and enlightened, as well as sexually empowered. You have now tuned into the Tantra Love, Sex, and Intimacy Show. Now, here's your host, Tanja Diamond.
I think they just like to make me laugh before
something always happens right before we go on the air to make you laugh.
Like, woo, yeah. All right. Well, you know what? There are worse ways to start a show than with the host laughing. That's all I have to say, because you know what? People can be really dismal. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Not you.
Not me. No. Most of the time, not me. So it's Tanja and it's Josh is here and
hello.
Billy's hanging out over there. And,
hey, what's going on?
You know, we're laughing. We're laughing because we're talking about, what did I wrote we're talking about celibacy and other sexual concepts.
Right. Is that both ends of the spectrum right there? How do you include celibacy?
Celibacy is a sexual concept.
It is a sexual concept because it has to do with sexuality or lack thereof.
Yeah. You know, so there's a couple things I wanted to say. One, you know, I say we have thousands and like tens of thousands of people listening to this. I mean, that's, I know, isn't that awesome?
I love that. Thank you, all of you.
I know, and I do want to thank you. It's just super cool to look at our stats and see that every single month, you know, there are thousands more people signing up to you know, hear us, to listen to us, and then the emails. I just got a whole bunch of emails this week talking about, you know, thank you. Just listening to your show has changed my life, has helped me, you know, with my relationship, has figured this all out. Every time I read those, I cry.
Yeah.
It's like, how cool is that?
It's so cool to be able to share something that people find so valuable, that they apply in their life, and it makes life work.
Right. And I mean, I haven't gotten any hate mail, which is cool. I did get one guy that said, I love listening to your show. The problem is your voice is so sexy. I can listen to it all day long. So I don't know if he's actually listening to what I'm saying. But
that's when we start using hypnotic cues and such.
That's right.
And now what I want you to do.
Yeah. And a lot of the questions I get asked are, how do I learn more? How do I access you? No, that was wrong.
How do I?
No, it's not like
how do I learn more? How do I get in touch with you?
Yeah.
That's almost as good.
Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Well, how do we learn more? If we live in Czechoslovakia, if I live over here, if I live over there, what happens? All right. So here's the deal. I do coaching programs, you know, long distance coaching programs, and they do work. I have an inner circle program. That's the big kahuna. That's like a year-long program, the best of life mastery, business mastery, sexual mastery. My clients for this year have just been rocking. They are just making huge strides in their lives. We did an interview with one of them a while back.
Right. Well, it's wonderful when not only are they amazing themselves by the way that their lives are changing, but also when they call you and they amaze you, when they exceed your expectations.
I've been crying. One of the guys, calling me up, and I'm crying on the phone because, you know, here's this guy went from this, you know, angry, unable to, you know, relate to people and just kind of social wallflower type of thing to telling me I see love in people and I have compassion. You know, I mean, just, you know, I see that people are good. And anyway, and I'm crying on the phone. It's like, oh my God, it's making me cry. Just the change. So I want to say that, you know, there's that. And that's a big deal. Okay. That's just not for everybody.
Right.
Because you got to have a lot of guts
to really put your life under self-review.
Yeah, to go for that. For that one, for that year-long program, you have to really have a lot of guts. You've got to have a lot of will and desire to make a huge change in all aspects of your life, because we go to all aspects of your life. When you're done with that year, you are transformed.
You are not the same person.
No.
And that's what you wanted.
Right. So that's not for everybody. But if you go to my website, learningtantra.com, and you look under the phone private coaching little button thing there, and you can look, and I've got, do phone consultations, and they really work well. I mean, they really work well. The Inner Circle program, and then I've got 5 2 to 3 month coaching programs. I've got a breath coaching program. I've got Beyond Orgasmic, or Becoming Orgasmic and Beyond for Women, a women's only program learning about women's bodies and their own body and their potential for orgasm, and just, even if you're orgasmic, but you want to go to the upper echelon of that, or you're not orgasmic at all and you want to figure that out.
I'm sorry, Tanya, I have to stop you there.
Yeah.
You know that the last 3 or 5 things you've just mentioned have nearly brought me to silence.
Right, exactly.
And I'm in homage.
Right, he's in homage there. He's just having his Joshua moment.
And those of you who know me by now know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. And then for men, we've got overcoming sexual dysfunction, which is, sexual dysfunction and men these days after 35 kind of go hand in hand. Or, that's the seemingly premature ejaculation. That's men that are having, impotence problems. It just encompasses any aspect of not having the sex that you would like to have in your life. That's what I'm talking about with sexual dysfunction. And that's a private coaching program, one-on-one. That's on the phone and email. There's getting past porn, sex addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Number one addictions in the world right now, sex and porn addiction. And I talk about how that is just devastating. I know everybody's like, oh, you should be cool about that. That's no problem. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in this show.
Yeah.
And then there's tantric sexual knowledge for men, and that's for men who really, really, really are looking to enhance what they do in the bedroom. And this is not just about how to get a woman off. This is about how to become that sexual god that most men want to be. Trust me, you have no idea. Even if you think, I love it when men, are like...
I have a glimpse of an idea.
Yeah, well, men say, like, I'm a really good lover. And I'm like, oh, really?
Do you really know what that means?
Yeah, right. And when, you talk, what does that mean? It's like, that doesn't just mean you have some fancy techniques that, you know how to get her off. No.
There's a whole level of presence, and not just gentleness, but a presence with the body, heart, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
And that's just, some people say, oh man, you're getting all new agey on me.
No.
No, how to really bring your full presence.
It's about being a warrior.
Being a warrior and showing up and being masculine and tough, and at the same time being vulnerable and soft and powerful.
Right. And knowing, the woman well enough, understanding those body cues, all of the cues, and understanding your own body well enough, because what we've been talking about every once in a while is this ejaculation mastery thing. And most guys, I've got guys come in and say, oh, I can last for hours, I don't have any problem. No, they're ejaculation management. That's different. We can hit on that anyway. So there it is. Phone coach, one-on-one on the phone, actual specific coaching programs. Thank you. Coaching programs. And they're all there. And we're having new ones all the time coming up, as well as our workshops.
Right.
Our couples sacred intimacy workshop. That's on the 16th of this month. Ooh. And there's 3 spots left for 3 amazingly lucky couples to show up and actually have some one-on-one time, and with me, and to be in a very small group and get the best of the best of learning how to bomb-proof your relationship. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Okay, so there's the spiel, and that's because people do keep calling me, emailing me, and asking me questions.
What's available? What more? What can we do?
Right, exactly. I'm over here, overseas. How am I now? You could host a workshop. You could actually.
Yeah.
I do have a marketing manager, and you want me in your country. You're like, we need to have this woman. You can email me and tell me, I would love to host a workshop in my town, in my city, in my country, whatever. And we'll look at making that happen.
Yeah.
Because definitely
work with someone,
travel.
Help us make it happen in your area. We'll go there.
Yeah, we go there.
Yep.
That's one of our taglines. Team Tantra, we go there. So
I had some conversations where, like, I can't believe you're going there. I'm like, it doesn't have to be anything other than a great place to go.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, okay. I am on Facebook, or we're on Facebook while we're on the show. So if you have a question and you're too shy to call the question in on the phone, which is 1-877-230-3062, that's 230-3062, you can IM me on Facebook. And TAN.
And we'll get right to it.
TANJA Diamond. You'll find me there, and ask away. Find out those things you wanna know. All right. Okay. Just quick review. Ejaculation mastery, ejaculation management. What's premature ejaculation? What's this all about? Okay. How it rolls is this. The average man, the average healthy man, can go from soft to ejaculation in 90 seconds.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
Sweet.
That is what nature designed you for. Now, that said, you can work on prolonging that, and that's what men work on doing, which is what we call ejaculation management. So if you're just rolling, like, you are having sex and you really don't have any say on when that happens, it's usually 2 to 3 minutes is the average sex. Okay, that's normal.
Right.
Okay, that's not premature. That's normal. If you can't get your pants off, that's premature. And that doesn't matter, because then it'll come back again and you can just keep going.
Right.
Or you buy my ebook.
After you wash out.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's okay. 2 minutes, great. Now we're going from there to now men are starting to go, I should last a little bit longer. So I'm going to do tactics to do that.
Tactics.
What are some of the tactics in ejaculation management? What have you done?
Well, you've got thinking about baseball, thinking about taking out the trash, thinking about anything you can to distract the mind from what you're really in. The mind.
So the body and the mind. Because if you distract the mind, what happens?
If you distract the mind, the focus leaves. I mean, if I'm looking at my lover, if I'm looking down and around and exploring and feeling, I'm like, oh my God, getting all the senses too riled up. Not going to arrive there fast.
So you think about her being a hag, or you look past her to the pillow. I mean,
You're ruining it for
sorry.
me. You think about other things and to not necessarily look at your lover is, because if I'm looking at her and she's enjoying it, every time she gets a little bit higher into the experience, I'm like, oh, that's getting tough.
So close your eyes.
Close my eyes, thinking about something else, or actually, do something before the actual intimacy.
Oh, so you've done that. The whole, spank the monkey before the date.
I've done that. Go relieve myself prior to.
Wow.
And then, spend some time doing some serving of the goddess. And then I know that when I'm back up and ready for a condom, I'm going to last a lot longer. So I feel like I can perform then because I'm not as sensitive.
The problem, what the problem with that is?
Oh, I do, but I want you to tell everybody else what the problem is.
So, guys, don't do that, because the problem is once you ejaculate, you completely shut down any virility as a man. So you are not bringing it as a man at all. There is no presence. There is no big arousal. It's like, You
have to have that excitement ripping through your own body.
Yes, before she feels that
and
ripping through
then
hers.
she will feel that attraction and desire and magnetism for us.
Yeah, so don't go there. So, okay, these are all ejaculation management tools. The distraction, and then there's the go, and then stop, and switch position, do something else. Give yourself a moment to kind of chill out before re-engaging. The problem is, as she gets higher, like you said, I mean, it's like, oh my God. So she's getting there, and then you've got to stop right at the strategic moments for her.
Right.
She's clawing at you and everything. It's like, oh my God. Oh, look, stop. We're going to change this.
Don't move.
Right. It's like,
although I have found the don't move technique. So, when using it tantrically.
Right. So you yell, don't move.
Yeah. Freeze, don't move, tap her out, what have you. And it's at that moment where her body's freaking out. What do you mean don't move?
Right.
Please, I don't know if I can. And, that sexy looking her deep in the eyes and say, don't move.
Right.
A muscle.
Yeah, exactly.
But I won't explain anymore.
Right.
Unless you want me to.
No, that's fine. I think they get it. So then we have, so ejaculation management. And that's where most men stop. And that's where most men think that they've got it going on.
They've done well.
Right. It's like, good. Now, the problem, of course, is that, 87% of women, we keep saying this, do not climax during intercourse. This is perfectly normal. This is normal. 87% women don't do it. Okay. That's the norm.
Right.
Now, it's not the, what do we want to call it? It's not really where we want to be.
There's a desire. I mean, when you're in that physical connection, your bodies are lined up with each other, and you're in that heart connection. It's sort of like the best of snuggling and intercourse all in one.
Right.
But there's a beauty and a connection to that. So from what I hear, more women would like to.
Well, what more women would like to do is to stay in that space right before you climax. So the part that women want to last a long time, here's again, women do not want you pounding away at them in distraction. Okay, while you're distracted, disconnected, pounding away, we don't feel anything but the pounding.
Okay.
Okay, and we get numb.
Ooh,
now,
that makes it even more
so
difficult.
a lot of women, because they don't know any better, will just want more pounding, looking for that might be sensation they might have. What they're looking for is your excitement. That excitement right before you climax, that super intense excitement. I taught a women's class just up in Vancouver this weekend, and I love watching women's faces when I say that. I'm like, all right, ladies. So, when you're having intercourse and the man gets to that, that right near the end place.
9.8 out of 10.
Yeah. That part. And they're like, yes, yes, yes. They all light up.
Right.
And I'm like, notice how the second he ejaculates, you don't feel anything anymore. And they're all like, yeah. How weird is that? Here I am at an arousal almost 100. And the second he ejaculates, I don't feel anything anymore. It's like somebody turned a flip and switch. Boom, it's gone. It's off. And they did. Essentially,
they all agreed.
His energetic switch was just turned off.
Absolutely.
And so as women, it's like we feel that. And there we are. We were...
at your most amplified.
Right. And then it's gone.
And he passes out.
Well, I mean, even if he doesn't pass out, even if he's super cool and he goes, okay, now I can do something for you. We just went from here down to boom,
Yeah.
And it's kind of tough. So women's arousal is really anchored into this. It's a joining of arousal, just like men. Wow, she's really aroused. When you're making love to a woman that's not very aroused,
it's not fun.
It's not as exciting.
No,
I mean men still do it.
Well, there's a dynamic switch though that happens when the woman is aroused. It's sort of, we say, when the energy goes from her mind and heart down to her first and second chakra, or down to the pearl and the yoni. And you connect, you physically touch each other, whether you're inside of her or not. The feeling, the sensation, the awakening for me is infinitely more powerful. I mean, I'm amazed to see the difference in how my mind lights up. And so, as I say, tantrically, it's to help the women go from their mind and heart down to their yoni. And for the men, it's to get their arousal from the Vajra, from the first and second chakra, up to the heart and mind. And I'll tell you, when a woman's aroused, my system lights on fire.
Right. And so, but women learn that if they get really aroused, they get really frustrated because they get to that super arousal, the man checks out.
Right.
And then, like I said, even if he's willing to do whatever else to that point, you don't have that same supercharge.
Right.
Now, here's what's really, really amazing to me. Most women don't realize that they've just learned to be aroused by the sex they're having. Not that the sex they're having is arousing.
They've learned to be aroused by the sex they're having.
Right. They've learned to get whatever pieces of arousal they can manufacture and find. Okay, for the most part. This is why 58% of women would rather go shopping.
Right, and why, for women, masturbating aggressively with intercourse sort of gets them up to the guy's speed, but it's not a quality-quantity match.
Right, exactly. So the whole thing of how women are usually touched, dry without lubrication, women have gotten used to that, and they've taken whatever arousal they could find in it. You take a woman that if I show a man how to touch a woman the right way, well, let me tell you, she's like screaming in about 30 seconds, like, "Oh my God, who knew? Who absolutely knew that was possible?" Right. Okay, so there are some things that are pretty key, and women, you don't know what you don't have, right? So that's why women are saying I'd rather go shopping because they actually haven't had the education of a man that knows what he's doing. And I have to tell you, men, there's a lot of men out there, and I've been with a lot of men that are good lovers, but there's good lovers, and then there's great, fabulous lovers. There's not too many of those.
What makes a great, fabulous lover?
Education.
He's not going to give the full
education, baby. I'm telling you.
Right.
And understanding how you are energetically, and understanding not just the pieces of the woman's body and not just the techniques, but some of the things that even women can't tell you, because most men that are good lovers have learned from a woman. The woman has been kind enough to say, I like this, I like this, I like this. But if that woman doesn't even know that she's only down there at the level 2. Right. And a man can, you can actually be at a level 5 in sexual mastery. She doesn't even know what she's missing. So there is a lot to think about in that arena of sexuality. And the ejaculation management, ejaculation mastery, two different things. So most men are managing their ejaculation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you become a master of ejaculation.
Master. Gosh,
then,
I have a long way to go.
Well, then is the big place where you live in that huge space of that 9.8 arousal, and you could make love, have sex in that space for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, running full body orgasms through your body, which are ripping orgasms through hers. Yeah.
Well, just in the experience of being with a lover who's amplifying off of my arousal and her own arousal, and in that place of wanting to start speeding up and get into pounding or what have you, and at that moment knowing that I'm just going to get taken over the edge if she does.
Right, exactly.
And just, we've agreed beforehand. At any time I can say stop, and she'll do her best. But to say stop and have her try and try and try and try, and then in those moments, not moving the large muscles of her body, legs, hips, etc., but her body just starts to quiver.
Right, exactly. It's like, uh-oh.
And basically roll through orgasm, doing her best not to move.
How fun is that? Well, that's fun for you, but that's like not so fun.
Well, no. She was loving that.
Okay.
She was. That was a higher, rather than having to go through the illusion that we need to pound to achieve states of ecstasy.
Right.
To be in the stillness and have her body roll through the energy. Right. I'm telling her to breathe.
Right.
I'm being there fully present with her and breathing through my own energy. And even though I wasn't quite at a 9.8, I was able to stay below that place of ejaculation.
Excellent.
And so for me, it was phenomenal because I was holding my energy,
holding space
in arousal,
for her. Yeah.
And she was experiencing a completely different type of orgasm, riding the energy rather than having to ride physically.
Right, exactly. And, the other reality, and when I'm talking to these women again at this class, is this thing about engorgement, about the yoni being engorged. And I know I say this, and it's like, it's always astounds me. I mean, it's the women that come to my class are, educated women, and they're empowered. Obviously, they're coming to a class like that. Right. They're not just, they're interested in sex. They're interested in their lives. And when I say to them, do you understand that, when you're engorged, your G-spot drops way down, that you can easily find. I mean, you're bumping into it. It's not like it's difficult to find at all.
Right.
Right? Because one of the women said, I don't know where my G-spot is.
I think a lot of women are in that. I've heard about it.
Right, exactly.
I think I have one.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot of men that say, yeah, I think I know where hers is. It's there, right? Okay. But really without the engorgement, and if you've never been really aroused as a woman, it could take 5 hours. I know that sounds daunting, but it could actually take 5 hours of foreplay and playing around and fooling around, whatever, to finally get to that spot. Because what's happened is we've been conditioned to turn off. We've been conditioned to come to a level of frustration and nothing happens.
Or to have to orgasm quickly.
Right.
Because
and the same thing as men.
We time, or because the guy is going to finish.
No, because we think that if we don't get off in 2 minutes, that we're not very sexy. So we force an orgasm, a sexual tension release, to have that done because we think he's going to be bored if he's been touching us for more than 5 minutes. I can't tell you how many women believe that. Women really, really, guys, I'm telling you out there, women believe that the sole reason you're touching them is to get them off so you can get off. And quite frankly, that's mostly true. Right? I mean, it's mostly true.
It's true, but it's sad.
It's true and it's sad, but that's all people know.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's all you know, then that's what you're doing.
Right.
And I got to tell you, that's, for the most part, that's going to be pretty boring after a while.
And when you release that, I mean, my priority is to give my lover pleasure, to be present and to enjoy the experience. It's sort of like how we eat, right? As Americans, we eat to get as much food in a shorter period of time as possible. Think of going to a buffet in America. It's like, how much food can I get for how little money?
Right.
Whereas when we talk about how some European cultures eat, where it's portions and it's meals, and the meal is stretched out over a period of time, so it may take hours to enjoy the full meal.
That's because they're enjoying the company and everything else too. It's a production.
So the same with lovemaking, with intimacy, that if the agenda is not how much can I get in how short a period of time, rather, how much can I enjoy this experience?
Right.
How often through the day do we as men think about touching women versus how much time we actually get to touch women? So why make that experience a rush?
Right.
You know, a rushed experience.
Well, but it's not all men's fault. Okay, because, once again, these women's classes, when I talk to women, excuse me, for the most part, women are saying, I get uncomfortable after 5 minutes.
Get uncomfortable with?
Being touched.
Really?
But yeah, they just don't understand how to relax and stay in their body and enjoy being touched for a long time. They are certain that the man is bored.
Because they want to please back, or they think he's bored?
I think they think he's bored and he just wants to move on, or they're not feeling it. So, like, if a woman doesn't feel like she's going to orgasm in 5 minutes, she's like, oh, okay, never mind. We know I feel like you're touching me to get me off, and if I'm not going to do it, we might just well move on. You see? And so here, part of the problem is the whole verbal thing, the whole,
right.
So women need men talking to them in the bedroom, and I'm not saying you gotta, me baby and all that, but women go to their heads and start looping around and getting distracted if, they can, pretty easily. So if a man is using his words to keep her anchored into the experience, it works a lot better. Well, men don't do that there, so I don't know what to say. Tell her what you're doing.
Touching each other and you're saying, hey, how do you like this? How does this feel?
Well, that can intimidate a lot of women because then they don't know, but saying, no, I'd like to hear that you love what you're doing. Say, I love touching you.
I love touching you.
Right.
Like this.
This feels really phenomenal. Well, because if you're really enjoying yourself and you're out, that tells me that it's not, you're having a great time. That is the...
You're turning my mind on.
I know,
right now.
Sorry. That is the ticket. So I'm looking at him saying...
on the microphone here for a moment.
Yeah, I love the way you touch me. I know, it's a little potent there. And so you don't have to be, Hafiz, you don't have to be Rumi, these major poets, when you're communicating, but just saying, I love the way the side of your breast feels. I love this. I'm enjoying that. That's so sexy. That keeps her understanding that you are enjoying what you're doing. It's not a task. It's not a chore. You're not agenda driven. And this one woman tells me, my boyfriend keeps saying, are you close? How much longer? Is it? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I would never get, that'd be like, what? What? And she says she knows that, he loves her and he, she's just trying to check in, but,
Right.
Are you close? How much longer?
Are you done yet?
Yeah, I'm definitely done now. That's gonna be it.
Well, and the gift to, being with a lover to get to that place of understanding with each other, there's no specific agenda. That the orgasm is not the goal.
You know how hard that is. You know how incredibly tough that is to tell people.
But I had a lover who was, it's sort of like there's no specific agenda. Whatever we experience is what we're experiencing. You tell me if there's anything I'm doing you enjoy, and tell me if there's anything I'm doing that you do not enjoy, because I want it all to be as pleasurable as possible.
Right.
But my goal is not focused on getting you off. My goal is enjoying you and having you enjoy being touched and loved. And then there were times where she was saying, well, you've been doing so much for me, I feel like I haven't given as much to you. And I'm like, how can you be sure that I have not received?
Just laying there.
That I have not received an abundance of pleasure.
Women don't believe that about men. This is part of the sad conditioning is really that women, because, we've been told as kids, men only want one thing. It's not men's fault. It's partly conditioning of our society as well. Okay. And then, not educated. We're all ignorant. So that's what I keep saying. This is not a man bash. It's not a woman bash. Everybody's ignorant about so much. And, when I was talking about the engorgement thing again, ladies, if you're listening to me now, part of your homework, whether you're in a partnership or not, is to find out how long it takes, not how long it takes, but what does it look like when you are truly so completely engorged you can't even stand it because any movement turns you on. That's what happens. When you're that engorged, just peeing can create an orgasm. It's just astounding. But it might take a while, and you have to not be daunted. Set aside a weekend and do that. Take some breaks, go around, do that. We are going to, while you're contemplating that, in fact, you could go do that now if you're really fast.
Right.
We're going to
go play a little bit?
You can play a little bit because we're going to go on a short break. But, okay, we're going to a break. We're going to be back in just a few moments still talking about all this. Have we talked about celibacy yet?
Not yet. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Now that we've got you all excited, we'll talk about celibacy when we come back from the break.
Exactly. We'll see you in a few.
Is your sex life non-existent? Do sexual dysfunctions leave you soft? Is internet porn getting more than you are? Or are you paying more attention to porn than your partner? Have you tried talk therapy and it got you nowhere? You are not alone. You can be freed from sexual shame, guilt, and dissatisfaction. A visit to the Tantra teacher is in order. Call now and mention you heard the Tantra teacher on the radio and get a very special offer. Stop waiting for a miracle and call right now. 206-276-2735. Phone consultations or in person will get you the information you need to be successful in your love life. But you have to call now. 206-276-2735. Stop making excuses. Call the Tantra teacher. 206-276-2735.
Are you one of the 40 million sexless couples in the U.S.? Are you wondering why having sex leaves you feeling lonely? Are you suffering from the myths of sexual dysfunction? Do you know in your heart that there has to be more than what you're currently getting out of making love? To rid yourself of sexual ignorance, get more out of your lovemaking, and find out more about spiritual sexual connection, then you need to check out www.thetantrateacher.com to receive your free copy of the ebook called Secrets of the Tantra Teacher. Don't suffer another minute without the sexual loving and ecstatic bliss you were born to receive. Get to www.thetantrateacher.com right now. That's www.thetantrateacher.com.
Now I'm laughing. Okay, see, there we are. A few minutes ago I wasn't laughing, so now Joshua's turning the screen around to see what made me laugh. You know, I'm telling Max on Facebook, he's at home, I'm telling him, that you rock, and he writes back. Anyway, I can't read it. But it did make me laugh. Nice. So that was good to start that off. Okay. We've been talking about orgasm. We've been talking about ejaculation management and mastery and engorgement and all these great things. And excuse me, it is, the reality is that sex isn't about the orgasm. But
what?
Yeah, I know, and I keep saying that it's not about the orgasm. Though, if you're not orgasmic and if you are completely frustrated in lovemaking and all of that, it's gonna seem like it's about the orgasm. Mm-hmm. And I tell women, I don't want to add to the pressure of your life saying, you need to have, different orgasms and more orgasms. But life should be full, and it should be textured.
And you can get much more out of every experience if shifting the focus.
Right. If you say it's not about, if you have the ability to have the full complement of orgasms that are available, then you can relax probably and say it's not about the orgasm and have a different journey. So I can understand where people are just like, having to say, I'm frustrated and this needs to be better. I don't want women to give up either. And while we're on the topic of orgasm, there's one more subject I'm going to hit on before we hit celibacy. And that is, please, gentlemen, please do not email me and call me and say, how do I make my woman squirt? Okay, because I'm going to kick you.
You're going to piss off the Tantra teacher to do that. That's the latest,
I am so offended by, not the concept, mind you, I'll talk about that in a second, but I'm so offended by the languaging, which is, completely porn languaging. And it just is so,
well, women are using that term now also. Some of the different places and journals and forums I've been looking at.
Of course, because what other word do we have? Because that's what we've been told. And men are like, oh my God, I want to make my woman squirt. Can you tell me how to do it?
Right.
And I'm like, wow, okay.
Gentlemen, we call it female ejaculation.
Well, you don't want to call up,
but still,
I want to make my woman female ejaculation doesn't really run off our tongue either.
No, it doesn't.
So we need something different. We need to coin some phrase. If I don't like the word squirt, and we can't have time for female ejaculation, we need to have a different expression for that. I think so. And so let's contemplate that.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, the answer is yes, I can.
Okay.
Teach her and you how to. And, a lot of women are actually doing it and don't even realize it.
Really?
Because, first of all, those copious, across-the-wall splashes with the gallons coming, that's not actually female ejaculation. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here. Mostly that's water.
Okay. Coming from the kidneys.
Right, exactly.
From the bladder.
Right. And the women that are, really good stars at that, they'll be back there tanking down a few gallons of water to that. And you got to understand, I'm not down in that.
Okay.
If you're excited and
that gets you off.
And you're squirting.
If it feels that good, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm not saying don't do that. But, for the other women out there in the world that aren't tanking back tons of water and aren't actually peeing from their excitement, they might be ejaculating and they just don't know it because the glands that it comes from are so small. They're tiny, tiny,
very
tiny
small
little
production.
glands. I mean, where are those gallons coming from?
Right.
Not those glands.
Right.
Okay. So if you are having intercourse and you're feeling really good and all of a sudden you're just wetter, you probably did experience that.
Probably.
And, because there's sometimes you lubricate a little bit more, but there's that, it's a slickery feeling. It has a different feeling to it because we call that Amrita. And Amrita, Amirta, nectar of the gods, or as Max is running off here is what it is. He's saying moonflower water to the Native Americans.
Okay.
And when the Amrita is happening, it can just be just a small amount or a little bit more than a small amount, but it's not going to be flying across the room.
Right.
It's not going to be gushing, I guess.
Right.
So
no geysers.
Yeah, right. So let's not be daunted, women. Now, if you like to do that, it's a great party trick. That's fine. Go for it. Like I said, party trick. It's fine. I mean, I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying let's just.
For those of you who felt pressure that you needed to stay on the bandwagon with the latest, greatest.
Right.
It's not exactly what people are saying it is.
Right. Exactly. And Betty Dobson, who's the mother of masturbation, she's been on the women's movement, way back when, grandmother of all her friends, Annie Sprinkles and all these other women that are actually doing this kind of thing. And, she's back there talking to them while they're tanking the water back and doing all that for the show.
Right. So they're overhydrating themselves so that they have a lot to pee.
Right. Right.
And then they relax enough that when they climax,
or you get pounded. If you bang on really hard, because there's some things out there that are showing videos showing men how to get a woman to do this.
How to pound the daylights
Oh my God. And they are pounding using extreme amount of pressure with their hand. Okay. Just really, because you really can't do it as well.
So basically you debilitate the muscles that stop the urine from.
You create a spasm in them.
Okay. That doesn't sound like gentle fun.
Well, no. And, some women, they like it. And that's fine because that's what they're used to or whatever. That's all good. But I just want to dispel some myths so that women out there just aren't feeling inadequate. Because, most women feel so inadequate anyway.
There's enough projects to play with.
Yeah. Yeah. But so you just pay a little bit more attention to what's happening. You might already be having Amrita without really realizing it. And if that's something you want to learn, once again, hey, I have my coaching program, Becoming Orgasmic and Beyond for Women. So any woman that's listening to this show, if you feel inadequate in any way that you want to up your repertoire or you just want to learn more, that's the program to get involved with, okay? And I talk about that in there. All right. So, celibacy. Tell us, Joshua, what's happening?
What's happening? Well, I have decided, as one of the leading members of Team Tantra, to take a 6-month vow of celibacy.
Shocking,
especially me. People across the world are saying, Josh?
Right. Isn't he the one that's always saying, call me?
Will he be all right? No, still call me.
Yeah, still call him.
I am choosing to have a deeper experience with my sexual energy. And I'm not just saying, spending more time in my bedroom.
Or in the bathroom.
I really want to develop a deeper understanding of where my arousal is coming from and how that drives my life. And, that place of, part of my reality is, as we've talked as a group, is, what are one of my core fears? A fear of being alone. Okay. Add my arousal or my need for sexual contact. And that creates part of the drive that I think so many men are on the hunt all the time.
Yeah.
Even though I'm seeking the realm of the enlightened lover, still my desire, my hunger, my search for sexual intimacy, for contact, leads me to neglect my mission in life, neglect what's really important to me, and making connecting with someone the goal, versus really just being who I am and having my energy fully charged.
Well, and then there is the connecting to women that aren't necessarily where you want to go, just to connect.
Yeah,
I mean, just to be in that space, and then creating relationship around it because you're a relationship guy.
Right, creating relationship, and then finding myself in a situation where I'm looking at other horizons, and she's thinking that it's really becoming a deeper relationship, and then I have to make a decision, a hard decision. Right. I mean, it tears my heart out to find someone that I'm in love with, someone who's in love with me, but I realize I need to look for another relationship. That is tragic.
Yep. So I think that, there are reasons for celibacy, conscious celibacy. This isn't like, oh, well, I can't find anybody or whatever. This is about really making a conscious vow, and it's about keeping your sexual energy high.
Right.
It's not avoiding it. It's not shutting it down. And I did a 5-year stint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not going there yet.
I know. People were like, I cannot. And I did that in I think it was my late 20s.
Wow.
So it was a pretty big deal. It was a spiritual vow. I found out later that my teacher had really pulled one in on me because he only went 2.5 years.
Oh,
yeah.
So.
How funny is that? Anyway,
he was looking for you to negotiate, and you didn't.
Well, I guess, right? Yeah, and he didn't. He goes like, I never thought you'd make that. And during my vow of celibacy, I was dating, but there was no making out. I'd go out, I'd have a great time. I'd let the man know, look, I just want to let you know you're taking me out. I'm celibate, and no, I'm not changing my mind, and no, we're not making out, and I am serious. A lot of men were very intrigued, as you might imagine, and
trying to lure and seduce and tempt,
right, up for the challenge. And the other aspect was that right in the middle of it, I met at the time who I thought was
the man.
The man.
Ooh.
Yeah. I met this absolutely amazing man who really rocked my world at the time. And, I'm like, well, I'm celibate. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. And, we went out, quite a bit. And, he said, and so like a couple months into it or whatever, he's like, how long is this? And I said, another 2.5 years. And he goes, okay. And then, a few, like 3 weeks later, he's like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
And I was like, I understand. I mean, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
Excuse me. And so he's like, well, you're not going to break it. And I'm like, no, I can't.
It's a promise I've made to myself.
Right. And so it was really heart-rending. And he said, well, I have to leave the country then. So he actually left the country. Did contact me about a year later, still celibate.
Wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I think he was in Australia or Africa or something like that, and told me what he was doing. And then, contacted me again, from South America.
A year later?
About a few months later.
Okay.
And so this kind of went like this. And then after the 5 years was up, though, I didn't hear from him.
What's up with that?
I don't know. I wonder if he died. If you're out there,
well,
I'm taken now.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Right.
But it was, it was pretty interesting. So, when you go on
I've got a question for you. What would the options have been? What were available on the table?
What
was and what wasn't?
Well, I mean, I guess the options would have been if we were really absolutely, so much in love that way, or really thinking, I would have sanctioned him having relationships with other women.
Okay. So having relationships with other women, but stay close and tell him you're promised with someone?
Yeah,
Okay.
Right. Or, I mean, just being completely open to what was going on.
Well, so, and I'm curious, okay, other options. What else is on the table? I mean, what could the two of you have done in your knowledge in Tantra and relationship? What could you have done, although it might have driven you both insane?
Well, I mean, there's breathing techniques. There's lots of energetic connections. There's all sorts of things that could have.
So holding each other, breathing with each other, doing yoga or martial arts with each other.
Right. I mean, having a life without that. Now, there are, you got to understand, there are people out there that things happen to, like there's a thing called vestibulitis, which is the inflammation of the vestibule of the vagina, which people have that doesn't allow them to have intercourse because it's too painful. and like underwear hurts and oral sex hurts and all sorts of things. So, there are people out there that are not physically capable of sex.
Okay.
And, they are still capable of learning how to have orgasm, of learning how to run amazing energy and feeling everything without actually physically doing it. So if you learn Tantra and you're sitting with your partner, you can run the energy and feel as though they're penetrating you and feel as though you're making love. It's as real as the real thing.
So let's cover some points here. If I'm in a vow of celibacy.
You're not doing that. Oh. Sorry, Josh.
Can I sit and breathe with someone?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, certainly.
And holding, spooning, spinning chakras.
No, I don't think holding and spooning.
No holding and spooning.
No, because I think, yeah.
Well, are you saying that as a factor of having a sense that I wouldn't be able to keep it to holding and spooning?
Yeah, I think that just feeds still into it. I think
feeds into the desire for connection and intimacy.
I think you just find yourself in a relationship.
Right. Okay, so be creating a celibate relationship, waiting for the 6 months to be over.
Right, exactly. Right. You would get attached in that. So I think each person is different, and that's part of what celibacy is kind of about, understanding yourself. Where will you sell out? How far will you push the line? What negotiations and rationalizations do you give to yourself? I could do this, and that's not really kind of,
So it's sort of, in what we've talked about, my vow of celibacy is really avoiding relationship potential. I mean, so should I date or not? Should I?
Well, and that depends. This is where you have to do that whole introspection of what am I doing here? Am I creating? Because you create relationship. That's part of the addiction. That's the addiction.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the sex. It's the addiction of the relationship.
Oh, so if I just go in for some frivolous sex, would that still be considered celibacy?
Yeah.
No.
He's so funny. See, what was he willing to negotiate?
Right. I can't care about you, but I just...
Yeah, that's right. We're just doing casual sex. Work. So anyway, there is validity in the path of choosing conscious celibacy. And I think that if people haven't done that as an adult at some point in their life, they should.
Right. Well, I have to say, before the show, I had a hearty laugh at myself. I go to our local health food store, and I'm cruising around looking for a particular product. But while I'm walking around, my mind is thinking, I'd like to, because I'm celibate, I'm not looking for anyone, right?
Right.
But I'd love for someone to find me who finds me really attractive.
Right.
Who's interested in me to show up. And as I'm doing that, I'm realizing you are still so hunting right now, mister. And my need to have someone find me, my need to have someone want me.
Yes, see, there it is.
That addiction was so pervasive. I just busted out laughing in the middle of the aisles because I cracked myself up.
Right.
How addicted I am to approval from others.
Yep.
To being wanted and validated by others. And that I would be okay if someone would find me sexy, if someone would want me.
Right. Yeah, and what did you do? You got some sandalwood stuff, right? And you even asked me, so what do you think about this? I mean,
well, that was because that's something I've been wanting to find.
But it's still, how do I attract a woman without really... That's what you asked me.
Yeah, that's true.
How do I attract a woman without really doing anything? So now you're even going to break out the pants, break out the colognes,
So should I look frumpy for the next 6 months?
I think so.
Okay, tone down my wardrobe. And
no cologne.
No scents. I should still shower.
Showering is good, yeah. I think it's one of those things where you'll know things are better when you no longer are desperate for somebody's attention.
When I no longer care.
Right. When you're just like, I'm happy with what I'm going on, that's when you're going to attract the woman that you really want. Because you're going to be self-sufficient.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of people out there listening to this going, wow, oh gosh, this really resonates with me. I was one of them. So, that's why part of my vow of celibacy, what is that? What is that about? Right. And, I did everything. I had a long stint. Okay. So I got to really work it. I went from, being sexed up and, masturbating 20 times a day for months to shutting it all down.
Right.
Well, then I'm not going to feel anything at all. To, driving down, even being in the car and desperately hoping that the guy in the car next to me was kind of checking me out. You know, it was really intense. It was
I've already been to all those places and reviewed that over the last few years, even without being celibate.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like just so desperate that somebody validated my sexuality. And now...
So when an attractive woman being in her zone shows no interest in me, that no longer pisses me off. That should be a sign that I'm doing well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. When you're dressing to please yourself, and when you feel really great, you don't even notice whether somebody's noticing you or not. You're feeling really good about yourself, just being yourself. That's when you start to. I don't know that 6 months is going to be enough, but we'll see.
I'm going to commit to one contract at a time.
Right, exactly. Sign up for renewal. And if I'm celibate for 6 months, can I sign an extra contract?
Option to renew. You can always option to renew.
That's right.
Can I take a 5-day hiatus?
Right. And I always think it's funny because usually when people are getting ready to sign up for celibacy, they usually go out and have sex right before. It's like going on a diet.
Right.
You go out and have a bunch of chocolate and stuff right before you do that. That actually makes it worse. But that's okay.
Well, yeah.
The last hurrah, because you keep thinking about it. Oh, my God. Anyway, so we have talked about, if you want to do some celibacy work, and I do coaching with that as well, because let me tell you, that gets pretty intense for a lot of people.
There's a lot of review. There's a lot of, what am I going through? What am I experiencing? Am I sane?
Yeah. Will I make it? What am I going to do? Yes. It's so funny, Max wrote here that he's grateful for my celibacy because it saved the other guy.
Right.
He wrote something else, but I'm not going to read that.
Can't read all of that. Yeah.
Can't always read what he writes here on the note on the IM. Okay, coaching programs. You've heard about them now. Book is still it's still hanging out there. Going to do the pre-sale here pretty soon of the book.
Well, it's not hanging out there. It's in the publishing process.
Yeah, it's
going through the publisher's review and process.
Right, and it's not. It is coming out.
So it is moving forward.
Right, it's not like it has to. They asked me to write it, so I didn't have to go through the rejection process. They are going to publish, and we are still working on all the products that we're working on. And Max and I are going to be doing some erotic mapping, a DVD of us doing erotic mapping.
Nice.
Yeah, which is a really cool thing to learn and do with your partner. Okay, and workshops, classes, Vancouver, Seattle, phone calls, emails.
Bring it.
They're all happening.
Bring it.
And we do go there.
We do.
We go places where other people only think about. I'm on Facebook. You can follow me there at Tanja, Tanja Diamond, and you know how to spell that.
Right.
Website learningtantra.com. When you're there, make sure you, somebody said something about my buttons. If you put your little hover, it's not just the top things. They all have drop downs. So you put your little mouse thingy over the... Oh, gosh, I actually know technology. It's really funny. The mouse thingy over the witchaholly things over there, they'll have drop downs.
Put your cursor over
Cursor over the headings, and you'll find a bunch of drop downs, and then you'll find the products that we have already. And our Conscious Breath V-Book rocks.
Nice.
Video embedded ebook on breathing. It's very cool. You should pick one up. Okay, thank you, Joshua.
You're very welcome. If anybody wants to call or write or email to ask me how my celibacy is doing,
there he goes.
I'll give you the play-by-play. I won't sex you up. I won't try to seduce you. I love to be able to share what I'm experiencing in this and why it's valuable.
He is still dating and talking. Dating and talking, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you and I have to sit down. I want some coaching on, really how to date while being celibate and not make a setup for, hey, you want to. Yeah, I'm going to call you in 6 months.
All right. Lots of fun as usual. Bye-bye, Billy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Billy.
We'll see all of you. Well, we won't see you, but we'll hear from you next week.
Bye-bye
now.
Bye-bye.